One of the biggest obstacles facing the UFO research community has always been credibility, for without credible witnesses and investigators, a significant UFO sighting can be dismissed, and the benefits it could offer the wider research effort could be lost. Generally, those with high levels of education or work in a profession where keeping a cool head in a stressful environment is essential are generally considered to be amongst the most credible witnesses, because it's reasoned that they are less prone to exaggeration or may address the situation with a more clinical and detailed approach. Another reason why we tend to trust such individuals is that often their credibility is at risk when they come forward with their sighting. So we can assume that they are certain that what they have experienced is genuinely mysterious, because they are risking their professional status. This is why for many years, professionals were afraid to admit publicly a sighting they may have had or a belief in extraterrestrial life. But there have been a few who have risked their careers and reputation to push for research in the UFO phenomena. The result, as we shall see in the case of Dr. Roger Leir, can be compelling and controversial. Roger Leir was born on March 20th, 1935 in San Francisco. But at 13, his family moved to Southern California, and he eventually earned a place in the University of Southern California, where he graduated in 1961 with a bachelor's in science, before qualifying as a certified podiatrist in 1964. But while on the surface, Leir appeared like any other up-and-coming medical professional, he also harbored a deep belief in alien life, not only existing elsewhere in the universe, but that could also be visiting Earth. As he would later put it was easy for me to gaze at the stars on a clear night and realize that each star was an actual sun. This followed by reasoning, suns must have planets that revolved around them, as we do in our own solar system. If this was so, then why was it not possible for those other worlds to be inhabited by life similar or dissimilar to the life on our planet? While he had been nominally involved in UFO research since the mid-1960s, joining his local chapter of the mutual UFO network known as MUFON, he admits it wasn't until the 1990s that it became a significant part of his life, and surprisingly, it would cross over into his professional career. The early 1990s was something of a boom time regarding interest in UFOs and alien abductions, with individuals such as Bob Lazar coming forward, claiming knowledge of UFO technology being researched and tested by the US government at locations such as the now notorious Area 51. This led to the discussion of UFOs and alien abductions becoming more and more mainstream, creating a fertile environment for serious research. It was during this time Leir became interested in the concept of supposed alien implants embedded in alien abductees thanks to Daryl Sims, a member of the Houston chapter of MUFON. Sims was a hypnotherapist who had worked in counselling alien abductees free of charge ever since his son was abducted at 5 years old. In 1992, he controversially implanted hypnotic suggestions in volunteers to see if it would trigger an abduction event, and according to Sims, he was more successful than he anticipated, with a mass abduction taking place involving 7 individuals in one night. Through counselling abductees and leading the abduction investigation team of the Houston chapter of MUFON, Sims came into contact with abductees who, through having x-rays done of their bodies, had located these supposed alien implants. This provided him with a pool of potential volunteers to draw upon when he and Leir proposed removing the implants. To have physical evidence of alien abduction in their hands to present to the world was too good an opportunity for either of them to pass up. As they put it would give them their smoking gun. 2 abductees volunteered to go first, having their implants removed by Dr. Leir on August 19th, 1995. The objects were then subjected to extensive scientific investigation that involved x-rays, a pathology tissue evaluation from 2 independent pathologists, laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy, extensive metallurgical testing, involving a density immersion test, and many others. While these tests were being carried out, Leir performed more surgeries on abductees, removing similar implants, and a crystalline-like object from a woman's foot in January of 1997. Even before the tests were finished, interest from the UFO community was high. Leir briefly became concerned over his reputation should these supposed implants turn out to be something more innocent, and considered using an alias for any interviews until he was sure. Ultimately, he decided to go public with his real name. Finally, Leir and Sims were ready to release their findings. Leir reported that the objects didn't seem to elicit a response from the surrounding tissue, as would be expected from a typical foreign object being inside the body. An explanation for this could be that the objects were found to be encased in a membrane of tissue from the abductee, possibly as a way of camouflaging it from the body's natural defences. Nerve fibres were found to be protruding from within the membrane, which Sims said were connected to larger fibres within the host's body. As for their metallic composition, Leir revealed that they were meteoric in origin, containing a compound of 11 elements. They would also reveal that they had detected radio waves coming from the objects before they were removed, indicating that they were transmitting something whilst inside the body. Leir and Sims believed they had their smoking gun. Unfortunately, their findings were openly attacked by skeptics and the scientific community at large, both of whom accused them of exaggerating the results, misinterpreting them, or simply lying. Some accused them of jumping to conclusions over alien interference in humanity, when the lab results involved the word meteor in their conclusion. It was argued that it was possible these fragments were man-made despite the similarities to known meteor compositions, something Leir and Sims didn't seem to address when releasing their findings. One of the most prominent skeptics in the world, Joe Nickell, openly scoffed at their findings, stating that the objects were most likely fragments from ordinary, man-made household objects, embedded in the body after a forgotten fall, or from walking barefooted. As for the radio frequencies they had detected, skeptic Brian Dunning argued later that they were probably detecting background transmissions from phones, televisions, and radios, which surround us all in everyday life. But no one could provide concrete evidence one way or the other, and it came down to whether or not you believed Leir and Sims or the skeptics. Either way, both Leir and Sims were now celebrities on the UFO circuit, making numerous appearances at conventions and speaking on television and radio programs. They continued research into alien implants, forming FIRST, the Fund for Interactive Research and Space Technology, a non-profit organisation to raise funds for the removal and research of such implants. Eventually, this research grew to cover investigations of objects from alleged UFO crash sites, and this led to his involvement in investigating the Vahina UFO incident in Brazil in 2003. In 1996, reports emerged of a UFO crashing in Brazil, with at least 2 alien crew members surviving and being spotted by several locals before they were apprehended by government authorities. Leir began investigating the case in 2003 and produced a book on his findings in 2005. Meanwhile, he continued to remove objects from abductees for investigation right up until his death on March 14, 2014 from a heart attack. He was midway through filming the documentary Patient 17 by my good friend Jeremy Corbell, which chronicled the extraction and investigation into yet another object removed from an abductee. The documentary reinforced Leir and his supporters' belief that the object removed from the abductee were of alien origin. The wider scientific community seemed either unconvinced or uninterested, rather than leaving a legacy of proof of alien involvement on Earth. Dr. Leir has instead left behind more questions than he could answer with his research. Despite his critics, he remained adamant until the day he died that the objects that he had removed were of alien origin, and he developed a loyal following of supporters who all believe that one day his research will be proven correct, and that he really was the first person to publicly demonstrate evidence of alien visitation and abduction.